Yeah, thanks, T. Good afternoon to members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Very difficult group that we find ourselves in. Very tough group. A group that has champions or 5 times Champions League winners in Mazembe, a very aggressive, very ambitious Pyramids, and Nouadhibou as a team that, of course, for the first time they qualify, but after watching a few of their games now, I see really very good things. Well-coached team with some very good players. I see that they've won the league title in Mauritania 11 times. They've now won it 6 times in a row, and they're looking for their 7th in a row. They're on top of the log now already with 7 games played, unbeaten with 5 wins and 2 draws. They've got quite a few players in the national team of Mauritania, and if you remember, I think the last 2 results between Mauritania and South Africa, Bafana we drew and lost, I think, the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, against Mauritania, and therefore that already tells you how difficult this game is going to be. They've got some very good players, Bouba Morsin, the number 8, very good midfielder, international. Bubuka, the goalkeeper, the number 22, very good keeper with some good level distribution, and strong with the build-up. They've got Noah, the number 4 at centre back, who steps into the midfield very aggressively, but is a very good player, good also, very aggressive on set pieces. Said, the number 19, strong, aggressive defensive midfield. So a good team that we know we're going to have to be at our best to beat, because they've got a lot of very good quality.
Thank you very much, Coach. Lucas, from your end, just from a player's perspective, your thoughts ahead of the start of the group stages of the match, of the competition.
Bom dia a todos. A expectativa é grande para o jogo. A gente sabe que a gente vai jogar contra uma boa equipe. Quando se trata de Champions League, sempre contra. A gente sabemos que é contra equipes muito fortes, e a gente está muito concentrado. A gente quer fazer uma boa competição esse ano, e sabemos que ano passado foi um pouco triste para a equipe, que a gente acabou saindo da competição. Esse ano a gente quer ganhar, a gente quer ser campeão, e vamos começar com o pé direito, e estamos fazendo uma ótima semana, e espero que a gente possa sair com a vitória.
Well, good. We're going to start this phase of group stages with good intentions, because we are a good team, and we're also going to be facing. We're going to be facing big and strong teams, because all the teams that are in the group stages are actually big teams to play against. We know what had happened last season and how we didn't win the competition. We want to go there with all our concentration and focus, and with intentions to win the competition, but we are ready.
Thank you, Lucas. Colleagues, it's your opportunity to ask questions. If you could raise your hand, identify yourself as well as your publication, and you can direct your questions either to the coach or Lucas. Any takers for the first question?
What a short press conference. Thank you guys, see you. They don't have Karabo to break the ice.
Yeah, well, I'll start with
Mike, you can just wait for the mic, please.
I'll start with Lucas. Just for him to take us through the
Can you just switch it back, please?
For him to take us through the frustrations of having been on the sidelines for quite a while. And also just he's took into our football quite easily, the acclimatization. How has he sort of acclimatized to our football,
and also the frustration of being on the sidelines with that injury.
Tengo dos preguntas para ti. Primero, de ser afuera por lesionado, ¿cómo fue eso mentalmente que te afectó? Que tuve como una frustración que no estaba jugando con el equipo y cómo sentí que sabiendo que te quería jugar y no podía jugar. Y segunda pregunta es la adaptación de llegar en una nueva liga y te adaptaste muy rápido y estás cómodo de jugar con el equipo. ¿Cómo podría hacer todas las cosas eso?
Primeiro, fiquei muito triste pela lesão, ainda mais que tinha a final da Copa, fiquei muito triste, mas eu estou num grupo que é incrível, jogadores que são maravilhosos, treinadores que me acolheram muito bem e que me ajudaram bastante emocionalmente para me manter firme. E quero também agradecer os médicos, os preparadores físicos que me fizeram voltar a campo o mais rápido possível. Isso foi incrível. E sobre a adaptação, a adaptação não foi muito ruim, porque estou numa equipe onde que os jogadores são incríveis, me acolheram muito bem, me senti em casa. Parecia que jogava aqui já fazia 3 anos, e também estou com um treinador que é excelente, um treinador que está todos os dias me impulsionando para sempre trazer o melhor para a equipe, trazer o melhor também para mim. E para mim não foi muito difícil, porque também entendo muito rápido as coisas em campo que o treinador passa para mim. E bom, estou muito feliz e espero continuar dessa forma.
Well, when it comes to the injury and the frustration being sidelined, it was a sad moment because it came just towards the final, which is MTN, and it's something that was difficult for me to go through. But fortunately, because I'm surrounded by a group of good people, coaches and the players, and they were there for me from day one, from emotional support that I got from them. So I was supported, and there was also a medical team that was helping me to recover so that I come back on the expected time to return. So yeah, with recovery, sad as it was, but it happened when I was in the right space of full support, so I didn't go through the journey alone. When it comes to adaptation, well, it is for sure I adapted quick, because it goes to the point of me being received by good people, excellent coach, who always instill in me that I need to be the best player, but not only as an individual, but also to the group. So he's been on my case, supporting me and giving me the courage. So it helped me a lot to adapt also with the players, because they knew who the person I was from the get-go, and it's a good team for sure, good players. So it helped me a lot. So I've been, from the very same moment I arrived, it felt like I was home, and it felt like I was here for like 3 seasons. Where I've just actually here for a season. Yeah, that's one of the things that helped me a lot.
Thank you, Lucas.
Questions for Lucas also. Questions for Lucas also. When you first heard that Sundowns wanted to sign you, how did you feel, and did you even know them? Did you have to like go on Google to see who Sundowns is before making the decision to join the club?
You say like después de estar jugando con el club querían fichar. Sabía de Sundowns y yo no sabía de Sundowns. ¿Qué pensaste de venir a Sudáfrica para jugar para Sundowns?
Primeiro, quando eu recebi a proposta, não sabia muito da equipe, falar a verdade, não sabia muito. Mas depois que recebi a proposta, fui ver um pouco a equipe, fui ver um pouco a cultura do país. E claro, imediatamente me apaixonei logo, porque é um clube que quer ser sempre campeão, que tem muita gana, que sempre quer ganhar todos os títulos. E também me encantei pela forma como joga, como o treinador trabalha a equipe. Isso me encantou muito, e isso fez que eu tomasse a decisão para vir, porque ele me ligou e falou um pouco das suas táticas, da maneira como iria me utilizar. E isso me encantou bastante. Foi a melhor decisão que eu tomei da minha vida, e a melhor acredito que é a melhor fase da minha vida, porque estou muito feliz aqui. Teve um momento na minha vida que tinha perdido um pouco essa gana de ganhar títulos, essa gana de às vezes até estar em campo. E agora estou bem, estou feliz e estou com muita gana, com muita vontade de ganhar todos os títulos e mais uma vez eu estou muito feliz aqui e espero continuar aqui por muito tempo.
Bueno, when I was approached by Sundowns at first, to be honest with you, I didn't know much about the club, but it caught my attention. I had to go and searched about the club and also the country, more on it, and I realized that it's a good club that have good ambitions to win, and which was actually part of what I was longing for, also part of my career to be in that space. And then on my search, and then I managed to have a phone call with coach. We had a Zoom call. We were talking about the tactics, the style of play, which when I searched, I noticed how the team was playing. And then when the coach had a video call with me, he explained the ambitions of the club and how the club plays and the tactics and everything. So it was a big win for me because I bought into the idea. And I arrived here, it was actually the same thing that I was told before I arrived. So it was what I was longing for. And also I arrived in a good group, so everything was good. To be honest with you, I'm at the best moment of my life. To the decision I've taken to come to join Sundowns is the best moment because I've tasted now winning with the club, and it gives me more desire to want to win more other titles as well with the club. So I'm actually grateful for the decision to come and join the club.
Thank you, Lucas.
I love this press conference. This is nice. For a change.
Good day, everyone. This is Nandi from PVT Media.
Hi, Nandi.
Coach,
You had to spoil it, no?
So I just want to know how your periodization plan for especially this game. I mean, you guys have been traveling, you've been having games back to back. So I just want to know how you assess the injuries as well.
Yeah. This FIFA break is a very difficult one because it had World Cup qualifiers, particularly for Bafana, and they came on the back of a very hectic schedule for our players, where there was an overload with, in fact, even Hugo Bros mentioned it in one of his press conferences. And it's also interesting for me because sometimes I get to watch players like Modiba play in a different position. So it's nice to see Modiba play left back for Bafana. I like it because for us he plays a different role, and for Bafana, so it's very interesting to see the adaptation and the movements that he makes in the systems. Sailor also plays a little bit more of a different role. Demza plays with a double pivot with Yaya, so it's also a different role, so it's interesting to see. I'm a bit disappointed because Modiba comes back with an injury, and the information I get is that there was already the pain, and he still had to play 90 minutes, on an artificial turf like that in Rwanda, with the rain and all of that, with an injury. And now we might have Modiba out for a little bit more time, Toby now comes back also from Bafana with an injury, so that also for me is a worry because I haven't had Toby Mbala on the pitch today, which was the first session for the Bafana players. So from a periodization perspective, it's very difficult because we're gaining some players like Lucas and Peter and Sipombule, which is nice, but then we also lose some players now with Modiba and Mvala. But okay, we've tried to give some rest, some time, especially for the players to spend some time with their families. We've been on the road for so long, and also to give some time to our medical department to continue to work. And I've got to give a lot of credit and plaudits to our biokineticists, our sports science department, our medical department, both Dr. Carl, Dr. Paul have done great work. Stuart, Tasso, Tato Santos, fantastic. Mateus and Sbuda, excellent. And even the physios, Saki, Godfather, Mkonzeni, they've really helped us during this period, because the biggest focus, to be honest, was not really training during this break, was actually, number one, recovering players, and number two, regenerating the bodies. So when I look at the training and what the bodies look like, it looks a lot better. The only disappointment is that, players like Nouadhibou still played for Bafana 2 times 90 minutes with injuries, and now that affects us because now Nouadhibou has to go for a scan and an X-ray because we are a little bit worried. And Toby looks like there could be an adductor issue there that could keep him, and then also with Riebero now out, it leaves us with a few options at centre back. So it's a bit of an unfortunate situation, but it is what it is. We have to make do with what we have to make do and win the game on Sunday.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, thanks, Coach. How are
Sure.
Coach, obviously the club has been in the Champions League for a while, and I think it's 7 years ago they last won it. And obviously we know that the teams that dominated are from North Africa. But I wanna talk a bit about something that I saw. So thanks to the Sundowns media team, we got to see a bit of your team talk after your team qualified in Cairo, and you said, trying to get into the psyche of the players about how it's written in the stars and everything. How much of it, Coach, to get over and win this type of competition, how much is it a mental thing more than maybe the tactics, the physical, and maybe to bring in another element, how important was the Yellow Nation and their performance for you, or them playing the game with you in your home games in the AFL for you to get over the line?
It's two very good questions. I think to win these type of competitions, especially when the level is so high, you need quite a lot of elements, and those elements have got to go in your favor sometimes. And of course, the number one for me is you need the best players, and we are fortunate that we have very, very good players who understand the importance of giving very good performances consistently. And you've got to give a lot of credit to the players, because we've got an amazing group that, as I always say, that not only are they good footballers, but they are good human beings. And so it's a little bit easier for the coach to be able to work with that type of group. And that's the type of group I love working with. And then you need a little bit of luck, but you make your own luck in football. You've got to work hard every single day. You've got to prepare. You've got to focus on the small details. You've got to make sure that you are ready. And I would assume that was one of the things that made a contribution. And of course, apart from the tactical, which is important. For an example, we had to make tactical adaptations away in Angola. First half, at halftime, we had to change the system. In Cairo against Al Ahly, at halftime, we had to make a few tweaks to the organizational forms. So of course, that also makes a bit of a contribution, and that helps. For the final in the second leg, we had to change the way we pressed. And fortunately, we got a goal from that exact situation. So of course the tactics and the technical application is very important too, but for sure it's the hunger, the desire, the motivation of the group, and I'm very happy with the level of the motivation, the energy that they show, and the level of seriousness. So yeah, it is a mixture of a lot of things, and it's important to not to make the one more important than the other, because ultimately they all make a significant contribution to the success of the team. The Yellow Nation were amazing. I think for the first time I can say that I think now the Sundowns supporters know how to play Champions League. The Champions League games are played on the pitch and off the pitch. You go to Lubumbashi, there is a performance off the pitch. There's hostility, there's support, there's noise, there's a feeling that you are an imposter. You're not welcome here. You go to Casablanca, and I think Lubumbashi and Casablanca for me are two of the most hostile environments that you can find. And to see what the Yellow Nation did, especially for the game against Al Ahly, where I think the Yellow Nation was amazing, amazing. The reason we won that match was because they pushed us over the line. In the final against Wydad, they were incredible too, singing, supporting, chanting, and you know the difference that the drum makes. And for the first time, I saw some yellow smoke also, you know, I tell you. And I was very, very happy with the level of how much they supported the team. And I think for the level of club that we are at, I think for the level of performances that we show, and I also think for the amount of hard work and sacrifice that the players make, I think we deserve that type of atmosphere, that type of ambience every single match. And this is the challenge to the Yellow Nation is even for games like the one against Nouadhibou on Sunday. This is the level of support that we'd love to see. We go to SuperSport, it's the level of support we'd love to see, because we play for them. We run for the supporters. We are nothing without our supporters, and the players try to give their best for them, and it would be incredible if they were live there to witness it and to see it, because I also think that to find the detail of how we play, you've got to watch us live, because on TV it doesn't do justice, especially with our movements and second movements, and if you don't see it live, it doesn't make sense. And so hopefully my humble plea to the Yellow Nation of they've got to show the support every single match. This is what this club deserves, and this is what this group of football players deserve.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take the last round of questions.
Coach, good afternoon. Unka from Mums Radio. Can I ask, since this is a different league and it's not the AFR anymore, do you have any specifics on how you're going to go around it? Is it going to be the same tactics as you used in the FAR, or is this time going to be different since it's a different type of league?
It's great to see you, and it's good that there's someone from Mums. No, we have to try to qualify. The objective for us is to qualify for the knockouts. The Champions League competition starts in the knockouts. The group stages are merely qualifiers for the knockouts, and this is our focus. We know what we have to do. We've got to get ourselves into a position where we can get enough points to qualify. History already tells us that there's a team that needed 4 points to get into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I'm not so sure that when I look at our group, 4 points will be enough. So we've set the number one first target is to get to the quarterfinals, and that's the focus that we have at the moment.
Njabulanita from News 24. My first question is to Lucas. What would it mean for you to be an African champion with Sundowns in the main one, and then how does this competition and what the experience that you've seen playing in the continent compare to the Copa? And to Coach Rhulani, can I please put you in an awkward position?
You guys always do.
The first part is not the question, it's
okay.
Just context. So yeah. Don't be alarmed and feel you need to interject. The second part is going to be the question.
No, you've prepared me very well.
Yeah, we've seen, a major case in the country with Lodge in terms of his conviction for domestic abuse. Around that time, also Kabuza has been arrested for that, and there was even accusation leveled against Mbala for something similar. It was reported. So, in terms of football, as the most watched sport in the country, also one of the people who are watching it being men, what role should football should be playing in terms of addressing the scourge and sort of playing a leading role in addressing this and ensuring that it's not just lip service, but we sort of make sure that it's fully sort of effective?
You don't give me a chance to think about my answer. I think you go.
Just
give me a chance.
against Copper. Okay. Quiero preguntar qué va a ser la importancia de ganar Champions con Sundowns, comparando qué sería también la gran diferencia este Champions con la Copa de Libertadores de América del Sur. Para ti, ¿cómo va a sentir ser campeón de África con nosotros?
Acredito que vai ser uma sensação maravilhosa. Eu acho que todo, independente da qual competição, quando você ganha um título, você fica feliz, você fica alegre, ainda mais da onde eu saí, de tudo que eu vivi na minha carreira. Então, todo título para mim é importante. E claro, esse ano a gente sabemos que o título da Champions League é um título muito importante para a gente, para nós jogadores, para os treinadores também. E vamos fazer o máximo, vamos dar o máximo dentro de campo para a gente ganhar esse título e também o outro título da nossa competição. Como eu falei, todos os títulos são importantes. E estamos preparados para ganhar todos os títulos que a gente vai competir agora. E bom, como eu falei antes, todos os títulos é importante quando a gente faz um trabalho atrás duro e treinando sempre com muita dedicação, então todo título se torna importante.
Okay, it will be a marvelous sensation to win Champions League with the team. It is one thing that probably I can't utter in words, but it will be a marvelous sensation. But also, not Champions League alone, but also any other title that we're competing for this club. For me, I think any cup that is or title that we can win it will be a big win for us, because we aim to win everything. But for sure, Champions League is a bigger one, because it's gonna give us another edge or put us in a different space. Like I said, my goal is, and also the goal of the team, and also the goal of the coaches and the technical team, is to help us as players to compete in every title we face, and also for sure the intention is to win this Champions League. We're gonna give maximum. We're gonna give everything we have in our capacity with intentions to win it.
Yeah. Welcome back, and it's good to have you back. But this is why you're back. It's the difficult ones. Jabulo is difficult to respond, and I'll tell you why. And there's a couple of reasons. The first for me is that as a country we are governed by the law, and the law says you are innocent until proven guilty. And you mentioned 3 cases, and in those 3 cases I think only one went through to the courts and there was a judgment. And I don't want to mention the names, but what is fortunate maybe for me in answering your question is that I know all 3 of the players that you mentioned, and I know them as human beings, and I know their hearts. So that's why it makes it very difficult for me to answer. That however does not mean that I condone any form of violence, be it against women and children, be it against your peers and friends, but any form of violence I don't think should be condoned. However, it is important to note that part to what has been said is some of it, and especially the other 2 cases, we have not finalized from a judgment perspective and found enough evidence, or there has not been a judgment passed out to speak in relation to the accusations. But we also have to understand the severity of the accusations, particularly because of the times that we live in, and how vulnerable our women are, and how vulnerable our children are. And in a society that gives a lot of vulnerability over and above some of the social ills that we are facing, it is very important that not only from a football perspective, but from a humane perspective, we drive the notion or the importance of being good human beings. And this is the thing that we speak about a lot in our club, with the players and in the group, that it's important not only to be a good footballer and all these things, because you're only a footballer for 2 hours, 3 hours a day. And then for the rest of the 24 hours, you are reintegrated into society. And even though today's society is a society where maybe we live in the times of fake news, because I don't have to have accurate information to be able to tweet and say, hey, Rhulani Mokwena seen wearing a pair of pink shorts. Already the people, boom, that's trending. There's no pictures, there's no evidence, but we are in that space. So it becomes very difficult, because sometimes we judge things, but we have not allowed the law to take its course. And even when we've allowed the law to take its course, we are very quick to be able to zoom in on this and say, oh, but what happened, without maybe even the full context of the incident. And this is very important. Before, and this is what I say even to you guys a lot, and in relation particularly to the performances of the players. And I saw Popovic the other day, someone tagged me, in fact Ken's tagged me, and Popovic, the basketball coach, he takes the mic and he says to the supporters on the basketball court, he says, hey, stop booing the players. This is not what our club is about. But we are in that time where, unfortunately, when you play professional sports, unlike many other industries, your performance is heightened and highlighted or magnified because it's in the public arena. And yet, I may be a lawyer, or I may be a bank teller, or I may be a cashier. How I perform is not put out for the public to judge. And because it is put out for the public to judge, we then think that our judgment has to even extend beyond what happens on the pitch. And we forget that these football players are also human beings that go through life and the challenges of life like many other human beings. And so it becomes very, very difficult for me to give an answer that says, oh, but this is right, this is wrong. We all know where we are from a moral conduct perspective. We all know that gender-based violence is wrong and should never be accepted. And this is from a moral standing. And I don't talk as a Sundowns coach, I talk as a South African citizen who so happens to be part of a community that faces so many challenges. And this is why when we win the World Cup with the rugby, and we win the AFL with Sundowns, and when we win the Champions League with the women's team, this is why these things should be celebrated, because we are a country that unfortunately goes through a lot more bad and disappointing moments than we go in the good moments. And so it's very difficult, but yeah, it's a difficult question, but I don't know, but it is something I discuss, believe me, and it is something that we have talks about, but it is also for me important to say that, guys, don't forget you are dealing with human beings. And just for the fact that he's a professional footballer, it doesn't mean the guy has no feelings. It doesn't mean the guy has no people that love him. It doesn't mean the people that love him don't get affected by the headline that they see and the tweets that they see and some of the comments that they read on the social media. These people are loved. And when they see these things, the people that love them get affected too. And so unfortunately, Denzel Washington said something very profound. He said, if you are not engaged with social media, then you are ill-informed. But if you are engaged in social media, then you are misinformed. So it's a win-win, it's a lose-lose situation. But this is why some of these things are happening, is because I can quickly get publicity status, and I'm not saying that's what is happening, but you've seen so many of these incidents. I remember there was an incident where a guy committed suicide because he was falsely accused of rape. And then only later did the girl come out and say, oh, but I was actually joking. No, I don't know if you guys remember that story, but this is the lives that we are living in. And that's why I started off with the law. And I said, we have to allow the law to take its place and make a judgment based on the evidence that is provided. And up until then, it becomes very difficult to stack those cases, the 3 cases that you mentioned, and stack them together and look at them in the same type of perspective. Because unfortunately, with the other cases, we don't have any type of court judgment on them. And therefore, the law is very clear. You are innocent until you're proven guilty. And then it becomes very important. But with all that having been said, and as a man now that was raised by a gran who was a single parent, a mother who was a single parent, I can tell you that for me, I have zero tolerance for gender-based violence. But that's for me, and that is in the space that I try to communicate with my players as a leader and try to influence. I can't influence the whole society and the whole country, but I can speak to my players and I can share my feelings about what I think is morally correct and what I think is morally incorrect. And part to that is not just gender-based violence, but just violence in general. And I say this because I always say this, and this is why I appreciate this group of players more than I probably should, is because they are incredible human beings, and it's a pleasure to work with them.
Coach, we'll take the last question about the CAF Champions League.
Yes.
Yeah.
to Lucas.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a follow-up question, but Coach, for 10 minutes you have dealt with this issue. I think we can lay the matter to rest now. The man who's sitting next to you there, yeah. Coach, he has endeared himself to the Sundowns fans within a short space of time.
Yeah.
He has spoken for himself now, and what can you say about this guy? And maybe also just a little bit, he has said how he found out about the club and stuff, but also how did you guys find him? How was he scouted, and what went behind the scenes of finding him? And also one thing that doesn't normally get discussed, the sort of the lengths that you guys went into finding him financially. This guy doesn't come cheap from South America.
He doesn't come cheap. Yes. You saw the invoice.
Okay, I'm speculating.
Let me start with the easiest one about the process. A lot of credit needs to be given to the club, and in particular the sporting director, the assistant sporting director in their office, because they use the data, the scouting networks that they had to be able to find and shortlist a couple of players. What then happens is once we've shortlisted a couple of players, and Lucas was on a short list with about 4 or 5 other players, and this only takes place after the report. So of course the season ends, and then we've got to provide a report. How the basic thing about the report, it could be 100 whatever pages. The basic thing is, how do we improve this team? And there's a lot of ways to improve the team. There is training, of course, and many other things around the team in terms of the performance. But of course, there are certain positions that we want to improve. And Lucas, when I looked and I watched the games of the players that were on the short list, Lucas had a lot of qualities that I thought would help the team to get to a different level. And Lucas will tell you that there were some exceptional things. Already when I watched Lucas, he was not even playing in the center of the pitch. He was playing as a winger on the right with the left foot to dribble and to cut inside and to create goals. But there were certain qualities that I liked and I saw in him, and when he arrived, I had already prepared a presentation with videos about certain strengths and individual strengths that he already possessed, and that I thought could help the team in a specific position, which was up front as a 9. Even though he wasn't playing as a 9, I think I had to do a lot of work. Beggy knows and Lucas knows, where I had to do a lot of work to try to convince him that not only was this the best position for him, but the best position for the club. It helps when you are speaking to someone with a good heart and who is coachable and also wants to improve, because even in the video clips there was also some things that I highlighted and I said must improve, because in this team it becomes very difficult for you to survive if we don't work on some of these things. And I don't want to get into those things because that's a conversation that is between me and Lucas. And I must tell you honestly that he has worked extremely hard to work on some of those things, and it's so evident to see on the pitch. How we go about him working and adapting is just merely because of the qualities that he has. You know, he's a very gifted footballer. I still don't think Lucas is even at 70% of his full potential. I think there's so much more for Lucas to improve and to develop, and unfortunately I am the one that has to put the pressure all the time for him to not be comfortable and to push and to improve and get better. But an unbelievable football player, and even better. And I use the word unbelievable football player, and when I don't know what other word comes after unbelievable, because that's the word I would use to describe him as a human being, because he's a better human being than he is a football player.
Coach, thank you very much for your time. Lucas, thank you very much for joining us as well. We wish you all the best for Sunday's match.
Danke schön. Thank you guys.
Travel safe. Thank you everybody.